Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome and thank you for joining. It's good to see everybody here. My name is Deepu Shivdas and I am a conservation biologist and I currently serve as the lead of Young Professionals Network of IUCN Commission on Ecosystem Management. And I am also part of SSC and Welcome Commission on Protected Areas. I am joining you from India. And once again, thank you all for being here today. There are a couple of housekeeping items that I will go over before introducing the IUCN commissions. First, there will be translations at the bottom navigation menu of Zoom. You can click on the globe and select French or Spanish. You can also use the chat function to type in any questions, comments, and introduce yourself. We will be monitoring that as time goes on. Feel free to join with your video on. And finally, please stay on mute throughout the session unless you have a question. We will have each chair introduce their commissions for about 5 minutes and then we'll open the floor to have a general discussion for 25 to 30 minutes and then some final statement from the chairs at the end. Just to go over a little about IUCN commission system. There are 6 IUCN commissions which are broad and active networks with about 17,000 scientists and experts providing IUCN and its members with sound know-how and policy advice to drive conservation and sustainable development. Today we will be talking to the chair of 3 of those commissions, World Commission on Protected Areas, World Commission on Environmental Law, and Species Survival Commission. We had a session with the other 3 commissions last Friday on April 10th. So we will get started with a quick little introduction of the commission chairs. Today we have 3 chairs with us. First we have Kathy McKinnon, Chair, World Commission on Protected Areas. Kathy is from the United Kingdom and has over 30 years of experience working on conservation projects globally, mostly engaged in the tropical ecology research and protected areas planning and management. She has worked extensively with the international and national conservation NGOs and government agencies in developing countries. Kathy is also a member of the Supervisory Council of Wetland International and is also a recipient of Midori Prize for Biodiversity, a prestigious conservation award. We also have with us today John Paul Rodriguez, the chair of Species Survival Commission. He is based in Venezuela and currently a professor at the Center for Ecology, Venezuelan Institute of Scientific Investigation. He is also the founder and president of Provita, a conservation NGO based in Venezuela. With over 30 years of experience, his work focuses on understanding the patterns in the spatial distribution of threatened species and ecosystems, and the development of policy guidelines for biodiversity conservation. John was also actively involved in the development of the IUCN Red List of Ecosystems and a recipient of Whiteley Gold Award in recognition of outstanding contribution to conservation. Last, we have with us Nicholas Breiner, Deputy Chair of World Commission on Environmental Law. Before stepping up to his current position, he was the chair of World Commission of Environmental Law Early Career Group. Nicholas is an assistant professor of law at Louisiana State University's Paul M. Hebert Law Center, where he teaches courses in environmental, natural resources, and administrative law. Prior to his academic work, Nicholas was an executive officer for Commission on Environmental Law. So I guess we will now start with the chair's introductions about their commissions. About 5 minutes for each chair, talking about what is your commission, how does it work, and also how young people can get involved in the commissions. So Kathy, should we begin with you?
Thank you very much, Deepu, and welcome to everybody from the United Kingdom, where we're not quite sure whether it's spring or winter, but hopefully we're moving into warmer weather. So I am the chair of the IUCN World Commission on Protected Areas. We have more than 3,000 members, all volunteers from around the world. The number is growing constantly. This is the largest network of protected area professionals The Commission recently celebrated its 60th birthday, so it's one of the oldest of the IUCN commissions. And the members are drawn from government staff, protected area agencies, conservation, biologists like Deepu, other academics, Indigenous people, people working in private protected areas and community reserves. Indeed, anybody who's interested in protected and conserved areas. About 10% of our members are young professionals, which is good. And of course, we hope that they carry on and stay with the Commission during the rest of their careers. And about a third are women. The governing body of the Commission is a steering committee. We have 12 regional vice chairs, 10 thematic vice chairs. And we have 19 specialist groups and 17 task forces. So we cover a wide range of topics, really anything of interest to do with protected areas. Everything from climate change, connectivity conservation, transboundary issues. Some of the specialist groups focus on particular ecosystems like fresh water or mountains. Others were once task forces and have since evolved into specialist groups. For instance, we had a task force on the new topic of other effective area-based conservation measures. It completed its task, which was to produce technical guidance on OECMs, and is now a specialist group working on developing capacity and training in different countries to help recognize and report other effective area-based conservation measures. Recently, we've established 2 new task forces, like many of the other commissions, one specifically dealing with the issue of COVID-19 and protected areas. And for those of you who are interested, there's a special issue on that topic in our own journal. The journal is Parks, it's free online, and I will put the address in the chat later so that you can find it. We're also very involved, of course, in capacity development. We do a lot of work on creating best practice guidelines, on training materials. We have a very large handbook online that covers every topic you probably would want to know in relation to protected areas. All of these things are freely downloadable. So please do go on the IUCN WCPA website and take a look. For a long time, we've been very interested in protected areas as nature-based solutions to global challenges. We started with work on protected areas, helping people cope with climate change. We have a climate change specialist group that is following up on that with more detailed guidelines in relation to adaptation, already published, and in relation to protected areas and mitigation. And now with IUCN's new emphasis on nature-based solutions and nature-based recovery, of course, protected areas will be at the very heart of those initiatives as well. We work all the time with the IUCN Secretariat, both in headquarters and in the region, especially with the Global Protected Areas Programme, the Global Marine and Polar Programme, and of course, World Heritage. WCPA members are actually asked to go out and review natural World Heritage sites. We also work a lot with the other commissions. The 6 commission chairs are all members of the IUCN Council, but we also work together a lot, sometimes on particular projects. We have joint task forces, but also we have regular meetings with the DG of IUCN. So we're very involved in IUCN strategy and development of work programs. Of particular interest, probably for many of you, is our joint program with the Commission on Education and Communications, particularly the Nature for All program. On policy issues, of course, our primary interest is in the Convention on Biological Diversity. I'm sure you've heard a lot about that over the last week. The Aichi Target 11, which focuses on protected areas, has probably been one of the most successful of the Aichi 20 targets. And countries have pretty much realized their ambitions set out in 2010 to protect 17% of terrestrial habitats and 10% of marine ecosystems. So they've done well on coverage, but still a lot to do on quality. And WCPA works with IUCN to provide input to policy looking forward for the parties' work on the new global biodiversity framework. We did a particular amount of work on the other effective area-based conservation measures and really had a lot of input into CBD decisions on the definition and criteria of OECMs. And of course, we are also providing input, as are other commissions, to the other two Rio conventions on climate change and desertification, again emphasizing protected areas as nature-based solutions. Protected areas, of course, are the cornerstones for biodiversity, but they're also very important, contributing to other of the Sustainable Development Goals. And over the last year, we've realized very much what an important role they can play in underpinning the human health and well-being. We do have a vice chair for young professionals, but we see young professionals as very much integrated into all of our specialist groups. This is not a separate program. So if you are enthusiastic about nature conservation, already working in protected areas, or have a long-term ambition to work in protected areas and on conservation, I would encourage you to join WCPA. You can join online, again, on the IUCN WCPA website. And please, if you do join, take an active role in the specialist groups. See which ones are of particular interest to you. Correspond with the regional vice chairs, offer your help to them or to the specialist group leaders. This is the best way to get a good understanding of the breadth of WCPA work and to get yourself known and valued in the organization. The next World Parks Congress, which is held every 10 years, will be in 2025. But next year, we will have an Africa Protected Areas Congress and an Asian Parks Congress. And these will be great opportunities for young people to attend and learn more about the work that WCPA and IUCN does in protected areas, but also the work of other commissions. So I would encourage you to go to that. The last Parks Congress in 2019 in Peru was remarkable with the participation of young people. They really made it very energetic and lively, and with all of their wonderful enthusiasm. So please join a commission, take an active role in that commission. We need your enthusiasm, we need your energy and commitment. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. So, John, if you would like to go in next.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here. If I speak too quickly or I'm not clear, just wave or something so that I can adjust accordingly. So I'm here really to ask for your help, how to increase the presence of youth at the SSC. SSC is the Species Survival Commission of IUCN.
Yo creo que anda allá afuera.
And like Kathy said, it's one of 6 commissions. In total, we are 17,000 volunteers working in the commissions. Now, if you took an average member of SSC, it will be a middle-aged or over middle-aged white man from the North. That is the characteristic average member of SSC. So we want to include, we have about 30% women, 70% men. So we want to increase the number of younger people. We want to increase the number of women. We want to increase people that are non-academics, that have other kind of professional trajectories, and non-biologists to help us do the many things that species conservation needs besides biologists. We are evidence-based. All of the work that we do is driven by evidence, but evidence does not mean biology or biological sciences only. There are lots of branches of knowledge, of scientific knowledge, that are very important for us. Now, as I said, well, and I didn't say it, sorry, I'm saying now, we have about 10,000 members in 174 countries. So that's the SSC. So we have a global coverage, and that is great. And for me, it's fantastic as a chair to reach out to that knowledge base. Now, those groups are mostly experts in their field, and to join one of our 164 specialist groups, typically people have to be fairly well established in their field already. And that's a challenge for younger people, because if you cannot prove global standing, it's possible that some of the specialist group chairs would not consider you as an appropriate member. We want to change that. We want to find ways to increase participation of younger people for many reasons. Now, most of our specialist groups are of two types. We have specialist groups that are taxonomic. So you have to be an expert, for example, in elephants or butterflies or cactuses or fungi, different groups of fungi, to be able to be invited to join a specialist group. It's very decentralized, so that the chairs of the groups are the ones who invite new members. It's a very distributed, and I really try not to interfere in that at all. Sorry about that. The phone is ringing. Apologies. The second kind of group that we have is disciplinary, which means that instead of a taxonomic group, you can be a conservation geneticist or a climate change specialist, or etc. Now we're planning to create a third kind of group. This third kind of group is a group that is based on geography, on countries at the national level. And at this level is that we feel there's great potential for younger professionals, because we hope to use these national groups as the platform to incorporate new talent at SSC for people that might not have yet reached global standing in a particular discipline or taxonomic group, but are very active at conservation nationally. So really, we have discussed some strategies of how to increase the number of youth in the SSC. One of them is to create a particular category of member that is youth member to join the specialist group. Another one is to invite some chairs to identify potential mentors to bring in some younger people into the specialist groups. And this other is this one that I just mentioned of national groups. So rather than speaking more about SSC, I would love to hear your thoughts about these ideas or any other idea that you may have on how to bring in a young talent into a network that is dominated by people who are very well-established, famous, if you want, professionals in their field. So thank you so much, and sorry for my phone ringing. It always happens, of course.
Thank you, Joe. Now, Nicholas, over to you.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining. It's a pleasure to get to talk to you for a few minutes about the World Commission on Environmental Law, the WCEL. So as opposed to most of the other IUCN commissions, the members of the World Commission on Environmental Law are lawyers or legal professionals, as opposed to scientists. So I know the thought of dealing with lawyers may not bring positive sentiments to many of you, but the World Commission on Environmental Law is a network of legal professionals, lawyers, academics, judges, prosecutors, and government officials, non-governmental organization officials that are all working toward the conservation of nature and supporting the mission of IUCN. We have about 1,500 members in the World Commission on Environmental Law, and the mission of the commission is to assure the integrity and conserve the diversity of nature through the promotion of ethical, legal, and institutional concepts and instruments that advance environmental, social, cultural, and economic sustainability, and to strengthen the capacity of governments, the judiciary, prosecutors, law schools, and other stakeholders as they develop and implement environmental law. As of now, we have members of the commission in about 150 countries. We're actively seeking to find environmental legal professionals in any of the other countries that we are missing. We're trying to increase the geographic representation of the commission. The World Commission on Environmental Law has been known throughout its history for engagement and participation in international negotiations. The commission was very influential in drafting the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species back in the 1970s, and the Convention on Biological Diversity in the 1990s. So we've been very engaged at the international level in promoting negotiations, and we've now also been very heavily engaged at the regional and domestic level, working with judges and capacity building for others on implementing environmental law. So just a couple of the major initiatives that the commission has been involved in. One has been the worldwide push for a global pact for the environment. In 2017, several of the commission members, including our chair, were involved in drafting this project in a meeting in France, and the UN General Assembly passed a resolution calling for a process toward a political declaration on environmental issues. It's a hope that this can be following on the legacy of the UN's earlier initiatives on environmental law, going back to the UN Conference on the Human Environment in Stockholm in 1972 and the Rio Earth Summit in 1992. So our commission has been involved in that. We've also been involved in promoting the concept of the environmental rule of law, working closely with partners like the UN Environment Program and regional organizations like the Organization of American States and the Asian Development Bank on promoting the concept of applying the rule of law, transparency and clarity, and effective compliance and enforcement with environmental laws. I'm the deputy chair of the commission, so our chair is a judge, a justice on the National High Court of Brazil, Justice Antonio Herman Benjamin. So he's been very engaged in working with the judiciaries around the world. Our commission also includes 10 specialist groups. The specialist groups, some of them are by particular environmental issue. We have a forests specialist group, for example, on the legal protection of forests, and one on the oceans and coasts and coral reefs, so legal protection of the oceans and marine environments. And then we also have some that are more thematic, a climate change specialist group, and a specialist group on law and protected areas in conjunction with the World Commission on Protected Areas, for example. We have been endeavoring to include a young professional member as a deputy chair of each specialist group as a way of trying to get more younger people involved. I was the chair of the early career group before becoming the deputy chair of the commission. As opposed to some of the others, it is, I guess, a little bit more narrow in that we're specifically, we are a group of legal professionals, so those with some kind of connection to the legal world. But it's an exciting commission to be a part of. We tried to partner with the rest of IUCN in order to ensure that the laws and policies and the implementation of those laws and policies follows the scientific information and the best science that we have available that is often provided by the members of the other IUCN commissions. So thank you. I look forward to hearing your questions and talking with you all.
Thank you, Nicholas. Now the floor is open for questions from the participants. Anyone would like to raise a question? Please raise your hand or unmute yourself.
I'm happy to go first. Sorry, I don't know if you're calling on people or just taking questions. But this is the second session that I attended. I attended the first one with the other chairs in it. And thank you for sharing all of your information. And as you've all been talking, I think you all seem to be touching on a lot of the same points, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I was curious how much interaction there is between the different commissions on kind of, maybe not a day-to-day process, but as you work through issues, is it normal for you all to work together on things or for different commissions to combine, or do you work in quite siloed spaces?
Well, Kathy, already you mentioned a little bit about that at the beginning, but I can complement that. So we the commission chairs are in constant communication. We really work together as a team. There are several working groups that are cross-commission. So we are, more than one commission is involved in those. We could probably have more than those, but we do interact quite regularly. And one thing that we do as a team is that we, prior to any council meeting, we get together to discuss our thoughts and our opinions and try to take a consensus view into the council, which means that 6 votes often vote together. That gives us some influence. Also, we meet with the Director General once a month, the commission chairs, and also discuss with him the more day-to-day and strategic views. So I think, we can always do better than what we do for sure, but we are certainly a happy collaborative group. I don't know if Kathy would like to expand, given that Nicholas is new in our family.
Yes, perhaps I can just add to that. Because we're IUCN councillors, we also sit on various subcommittees within the council. And for instance, I represent all of the commission chairs on the Congress Preparatory Committee, which is organising the Congress in Marseille, or at least we hope it will be in Marseille. And so we're in regular communication about that. Antonio, who is the chair of the Environmental Law Commission, is our representative in the Bureau of the Council. And we all take turns at different roles in that regard. So we're very much engaged together as a group in the work we do with IUCN through the Council. But as John Paul says, we also have a lot of common areas of interest. I think every commission, for instance, is looking at the work that's needed to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. We've all had specialist groups working on that. We're all looking at the new initiatives coming out of IUCN and seeing how we can contribute either through our own commissions or, as John Paul said, through joint task forces. Nature for All is a joint task force. We have one with SSC on marine mammals. We previously had one on biodiversity outcomes. So when there's a topic of key interest, we collaborate a lot. Nick, I don't know if you want to add. Oh, and of course, we all go to each other's congresses.
Yeah, I will say we've had, great connection with the chairs of the other commissions. in terms of coming to WCEL events. We of course, recognize that the law does not have answers to, questions of conservation, but is, rather the, way in which we can reflect as our societies what our priorities are. And so we hope that those legal and policy decisions are all based on, including the best scientific information that comes from the other commissions and comes from other sources. So I think it's important that we have that interaction.
Thank you all.
Hi. Sorry. Should I continue?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
Please.
I would like to know if, as a biologist, I could join the World Commission on Environmental Law, because although I'm a biologist, I am mostly interested in environmental policies and international agreements. And from my understanding, I would think that this is the commission that is most related to the topic. Thank you.
Yeah, currently membership is generally open only to those with a law degree, but we have, ways for engaging with the commission, even if not directly as a member. There may, be other commissions in addition to that you might be interested. The Commission on Economic, Environmental, and Social Policy is also engaged in the IUCN's work with international agreements. And I think the other commissions are involved in that as well. So although the World Commission on Environmental Law itself is legal professionals, we do have, ways for interacting with those, including, yourself, that may want to get involved in what we're doing. So if you want to reach out, I'd be happy to, communicate further about that.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aryan. Now, Mary Morgan, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time and taking this opportunity to present us what are the commissions. So my question is relating to the groups within the commissions and specific task force. So how do you join them? Like, does anyone with an interest within the commission can apply for this task force, or are these specific groups of people? And specifically, I know there is a young professional marine task force within the WCPA, and I would love to hear a little bit more about what they're doing and the process for joining them, for example. Thank you.
So when you apply to join the commission, you fill in a survey monkey, and you state that there your key areas of interest. And then you can decide which of those specialist groups or task forces you would like to participate in. And that means that the leader of that group can get in contact with everybody in those groups. However, even within those groups, there are generally people who are more active than others, which is why I suggest to you that if you're really interested in something, reach out. In your particular case, we have a Marine Vice Chair. We have a very enthusiastic young professional Vice Chair, Maria Sole, who of course is also very interested in marine issues. So reach out to them. If you're at regional meetings or you're participating in all of these dialogues that we're having online, don't hesitate to ask questions and get in touch with other people that you see, because that's the way you really do get engaged. It may be hard to believe, but once upon a time, I was a young professional. I'm sure John Paul was. And this is really how you do get involved.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, just one little thing about SSC. The Species Survival Commission, as I said before, we have a very decentralized system. And that means that each chair invites members. So if you're interested in a particular task force or group, the best way is to go directly to them. Now that sometimes we have 164 groups, and I can assure that they all have particular aspects of governance, of group management that are different. They're all different. So some have a limited number of members that they rotate, some are very flexible. So like Kathy said, the best thing that you can do is insist and really demonstrate your persistent interest in the cases that you don't get a response.
Yeah, like the other commissions, when you apply to join WCEL, you can indicate which specialist group you would be interested in joining. I saw there was a question in the chat as well for me from someone who asked whether it is preferable to pursue the creation of legal rights for nature or rather work within current legal and legislative frameworks. And for that, I can refer you to the World Commission on Environmental Law put out a World Declaration on Environmental Law a few years ago that includes principles for strengthening environmental rule of law, and it does include rights of nature, recognizing nature having the inherent right to exist, thrive, and evolve, and also a human right to a safe and healthy, clean, and sustainable environment. I'd say the commission is, concerned with kind of further developing these rights and principles in environmental law as they continue to be developed around the world. But we're also very much engaged in strengthening capacity for compliance and enforcement of what is already existing. So, I think it's both working toward improving recognition of rights as well as taking advantage of opportunities to apply what is already there.
Thank you. Yavis, you can have your question.
Deepu, if we're waiting for another question, maybe one way that young people are particularly helpful to the commissions is because you're so expert with all of these social media. And I'm sure that many of the regional vice chairs and leaders of specialist groups would really appreciate your help with communication. So that might be another way to get in touch and get yourself noticed.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone.
Yes.
Can you listen?
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. I'm Eve from Benin, and I'm really happy to be here. I'm personally a member of the WCPA as a young professional, and we are working here in West Africa and Central Africa with Charlotte. And my first question goes to Dr. Kathy. It's about how young professionals can really raise funding under the WCPA, of course, because we found out that it's a little bit difficult to raise funding under the WCPA, not only like young professional, but like WCPA, because they say it will be a little bit difficult and the WCPA can really patronize that. And the second question is especially about the Species Survival Commission. It's about how will be the process about be implicated at the national level as a specialist member, a special group member. And also the main point about this is a lot of people are really enthusiastic about joining one of these specialist group, but they find it very difficult because sometimes we really reach out to the specialist groups, maybe I would say the leaders, then I think that they tend to forget maybe the mails, or maybe sometimes we just don't get the feedback. So how can we really fix that? And thank you.
Thanks, Eve. And I'm very happy that you're a member of WCPA. one of the few benefits of this pandemic has been that we're doing so many more activities online. So we can be so much more inclusive and reach out to more people. The WCPA does have a policy of trying to get as many young professionals and Indigenous people to major meetings and congresses. So for instance, we supported 30 people to go to CAPLAC 3. We have committed to help fund 20 young professionals to get to Marseille, if indeed that happens. And we paid their registration fees over a year ago.
Of course, I'm part of those young professionals, and I really thank you for that.
So that offer still holds good if Marseille happens. What I would personally like to see is more regional meetings and meetings at a local level, because it's easier that way to bring in more people locally. That applies to protected area managers as much as it does to young professionals. Not everybody has the opportunity to travel to all the big global meetings. All of the commissions get a very small amount of operational funding every year from IUCN. In WCPA, we're rather frugal. We share it out among the different vice chairs. Everybody gets a tiny amount of seed funding, and also to some of the specialist groups. And then, as I said, we try and allocate some of it to bring young professionals to meetings. But almost all of the activities of the specialist groups or task forces really rely on their leaders raising additional funds. And we have been extremely lucky in getting support from IUCN members like Parks Canada or the German government or Global Wildlife Conservation. So sometimes if you're going to a meeting organized by one of those other agencies, they may be helping to support a WCPA initiative. But we are constantly looking for funding and trying to make it go as far as possible. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.
John, would you like to take the second part of his question? John?
Sorry, I missed a little bit. What, you were talking to me? I just got disconnected for a second.
Yes.
Can you remind me?
He had one more question to you.
I didn't hear it, sorry.
Yavis, could you repeat it?
Could you repeat it?
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much. My question was about how we can proceed to be involved to this commission already at the national level. And the second part of my contribution, not really question, is that people really think that assessing this commission is a little bit tricky and really difficult, because sometimes even I will reach out to the leaders of these specialist groups, and we really tend to don't have feedback from them, and it will be very good to know how we go about this, and to know if there is another way to go about it to be part of one of these specialist groups. Thank you.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point, and that's certainly a challenge that we have ahead. How do we bring in younger people who, I mean, the chairs, like I said before, they are very diverse in the way that they bring in new members, and some have limited numbers of people that they admit into groups. So sometimes they're not very responsive, and I recognize that, and that is certainly an issue that we want to face. So the way that we plan to create these national groups, it's the same way that we create any other group within SSC. We still don't have the actual terms of reference. We haven't formally created that kind of group. We plan to do that by September of this year. And what we're hoping to do is when there's a group of people in a country that want to create a group, they follow some rules in terms of what information they have to put forward, how to make a request to the steering committee of the SSC. And we don't have that yet, but we will within the next few months. So what I would suggest to you, Eve, if you're okay with that, is to keep in touch. And within the next few months, once we have the formal adoption of that kind of group, we would invite you to propose one for Benin.
Okay, great. This is a great idea, and I'm really happy for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm sorry that I didn't hear before. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Hi, may I just jump in here because I've experienced similar issues, like not getting a response, even though I've been endorsed by several members from other groups, which is quite frustrating because I feel like even as a student, if you don't know the head of one group, you know, even if your mentors cannot help you because they don't know this person, it might be difficult. But I've been thinking after you said that you're planning to, you know, maybe get a group for students as well within the SSC. Maybe it would help if this group would be able to endorse younger students to the other specialist groups based on their experience or CVs, and you know, kind of implement a more formal application process where you can, you know, present your research or your background and your CV, and then the working group that's only responsible for students within the SSC can then maybe endorse someone to, like, just an idea. I think that would help.
Yeah, no, sounds great. That's a great idea. I'm trying to, I will add some of these comments into the chat, what I'm understanding, what I'm hearing, but please complement them. But yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Ajias Ahmad Qureshi.
Hello.
Samuel, do you have a question?
Yeah, I would like also to know something about the commission. And yeah, my name is Samuel, and I'm coming from Kenya, but I'm living in Kenya as a refugee. I'm Congolese by nationality, and I'm leading a refugee-led organization whereby we are working on refugees empowerment, environment. We are working in education, livelihoods, women empowerment. We are working in hygiene and sanitation projects. And I could like to ask some questions to John. The first question is, in your plans, do you have any plan to support refugees or only citizens? And the second one is, what are the conditions to be part of your groups? Are refugees also allowed to be part of your groups? And the last one is, do you have any plan to support like some community-based organizations which are operating locally and maybe are lacking in lack of funds or support to help them enhance their activities locally? So thank you so much.
Was that specific to me? Did I hear?
John?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We don't make any distinction between refugees and others. I mean, the people that join the commission are people there for their brain, for their knowledge, for their experience, for their talent, not for their origin or status. So absolutely, we're very much welcome. You're very much welcome to try to participate. Now we don't provide support, like Kathy said, that the networks of volunteers of the commissions are all, sorry, the networks of experts in the commission are all volunteers. So we really we rather need resources more than distribute them. So we're SSC, the commissions are not a source for funds for others. But we definitely welcome the participation of refugees or any other person interested in contributing.
Thank you, John. Ijaz Ahmad Qureshi, do you have a question? Seems like he is not connected with us. Okay, we now have just 2 more minutes for taking questions before closing statements. We had some questions in the chat and most of them were answered by the chairs.
Hello, do you hear me? Yeah, I have a quick
Yes, Celine.
question, Mr. John Paul. Well, maybe you mentioned it already, I missed it, but you were speaking about creating a committee for streamlining incorporation of young professionals. And well, I was wondering, what about young professionals with professional experience? Just maybe they are more like me here, have like 4 years of experience, and well, I'm working, and I will be glad to volunteer and work beyond my working hours for one of these committees. So if I apply, are these committees uptaking this kind of professionals? Yeah, thank you very much. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself.
No, that's fine. I hear you, and I think that that's the challenge that we have ahead, is to find ways so that people with all levels of experience can participate early on in the professional career and become more involved. For me, I joined the SSC when I was still a university student in my last year, just before graduating, and I think that we just have to have more opportunities such as those. I was lucky to have a specialist group that welcomed me, and we have to make sure that those examples are common around the network rather than rare, which is the case at the moment. So having this conversation with you, and these are my final words, Deepu, you know, that for me the most important message is that conservation works, and to make it work, we need people like you to keep working with us into the future. So I'm very grateful to see you all here. And I really hope that we can, with your feedback, we can develop mechanisms within the Commission to make it more effective and more easy for people early in their careers to join the Commission. So thank you for your thoughts. For me, they've been very, very useful. Over to you, Deep.
Thank you, John. So now we are just going to end the questions here. And we will now have the closing statements from the chairs. This time we will go in the reverse order. So Nicholas, you may get in first.
Well, thank you to all of you, and thanks for your questions. Again, although our commission is slightly different in that it focuses on legal professionals, there are still lots of opportunities to work with and collaborate with us. And I posted a few links in here to the commission's work on environmental rule of law. And we also have a lot of other resources on the website, environmental law lectures and environmental law webinars that we're hosting. We're going to be holding a series of environmental law webinars leading up to World Environment Day in June. So I encourage you to, you know, seek out information about our commission and the other commissions. We would love to have more people involved in all of those things, whether or not you're actually a member of the law commission or have a law degree. But thanks to all of you.
Thanks, Nicholas. John, would you like to make a closing statement?
No, I just did. I will just ask Kathy to do hers.
Okay. Look, we all want to encourage more young people to join the commissions, because you won't stay young professionals forever. But we do want you to stay with the commissions forever. So we're always looking for new leaders and we want to help. As Nick says, there's a wealth of information about all of the commissions and all of the products that we've developed, all freely available online. So please do go, take a look, join where you can. All of these various online events are a wonderful opportunity for you to get a flavor of some of the work the Commission does. So I hope you're learning quite a lot from participating in this summit. And my biggest recommendation, I think, would be to approach regional vice chairs, specialist group leaders, and make yourselves useful. Let them see how useful you can be. We're always looking for volunteers to help with organizing meetings, like big parks congresses or the regional parks congresses. That is a good way for you to see the breadth and scope of the work that the commissions do and to get to interact with people in your field. So thank you very much for participating in this today. And I hope we'll see more of you appearing in our membership lists. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you all. All right, I hope this session is informative. And we welcome you all to join any of the commission that suits your interest. We have given the links in the chat for joining the commissions. Just some follow-up. You can follow all these commissions and the specialist group and thematic groups of their commissions on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, so that you get updated on the activities and can get engaged. And I hope you all take very good care of yourselves and have wonderful sessions ahead in the summit. Thank you for the translators for their support, and thank you all.
Thank you very much, Deepu.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Kathy.